Hello, welcome to the first video for topic 2. This is for lesson 2.1. Begins on page 1 in your notes packet. You should see the same page that is on the screen. So lesson 2.1 is we're doing a little review of solving two-step equations. So you should have some experience with doing this. So our target statement is I can solve two-step equations. So like I said, this should be review. You should have done this before. You should know what it's about. But if you have questions or if you don't recall everything, we're going to be working through this together. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and I've mentioned this in math, is something called inverse operation. So write this down off to the side here. Inverse operation. So what that means is, and I'm sure you guessed it already, is that we're going to do the opposite of what's happening. And obviously in math, every time you hear me say inverse, you're supposed to say opposite anyway. Now, I also want to make another note. You'll notice that there's the word check here. Oh, Mr. Decker, do I have to do the check? Yes, you must. I'm going to write this in all cap like I'm yelling it. Must do the check. Some of the assessment problems that you have specifically say solve and check, or just do the check. So if you don't do that, then you aren't doing the full task. You won't get full credit. By the way, I would think everyone would want to do the check anyways, because it's a nice way of knowing that you got the answer correct. All right, so what I like to do is draw a line down or draw train tracks so that I know whatever I do on one side of my equation, I got to do on the other. So the first thing I see is subtraction, and the opposite of that is add 6. Now some of you might be saying, well, Mr. Decker, I also see multiplication. Okay, well, we're kind of going not only doing the opposite, but in reverse order. So order of operations says the last thing is adding and subtracting. We're going to do that first. Unless we have parentheses or an exponent, that's a little different. So these zero out because negative 6 plus 6 is 0. The 4x comes down. 30 plus 6 is 36. Now I can undo my multiplication by dividing both sides by 4. The 4's become a 1. 1x is just x. 36 divided by 4 is 9. There's your answer. Yes, you need to put a box around it so that it's easy to tell what your answer is. Now, the check is simple. E, S, S. E stands for rewrite the original equation. A lot of students forget this step and go right to the second step. You must rewrite the original equation. If you're not doing all these steps, then technically you're not doing the check correctly. Now we substitute in our answer, and now we solve. 4 times 9 is 36. 36 minus 6 is 30, and 30 does equal 30. So it checks out beautifully. Okay, now if that was too fast for you, pause the video and copy everything down. I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay, so the next one, we have 2x over 3 plus 20 equals 24. So again, draw your line down through the equal sign, so you remember to do the same thing on both sides. Again, I'm going backwards, so I'll subtract 20 first. Positive 20 minus 20 zeros out. and this comes down. So I have 2x over 3 equals 24 minus 20 is 4. Now, we have a few ways we can do this next step. We could multiply both sides, or divide both sides by 2/3. But that's the same as multiplying by 3/2. I'm actually going to do this one step at a time. Instead of doing all that, I'm going to say, well, I have a fraction, so I'm going to multiply by whatever I have in the denominator. And those cancel out, they become 1, whatever you want to call it. And the 2x is still left. And then we get 12. Now divide both sides by 2, and you get x equals 6. There's your answer. Are we done? Of course not. We still need to do the check. Okay, so E, rewrite the original equation. S, substitute. So I'm going to plug in my answer. And then we solve. So 2 times 6 is 12. Now what's nice is the check helps you to make sure you've done everything correctly. So, I've seen students here add the 20 and the 12. Well, you can't do that. First you have to divide. But if you were to do 20 plus 12, you'd get 32. And 32 divided by 3 is not going to equal 24. So we get 4 plus 20 equals 24. And then 24 equals 24. And it checks out beautifully. Okay, there's 2 more problems on the next page. We're going to do one together, and then I'm going to give you the answer for the last one so you can try it on your own. Okay, here we go. Next page. So we're looking at page 2. We'll do one more together. Okay, draw your line. Notice it says solve and check. So I have 8 plus x over 6 equals negative 10. Now, I need to get rid of that 8 plus, or plus 8. So I'm going to do minus 8 first. 8 and minus 8 becomes 0. The x over 6 comes down. Equals, now negative 10 minus 8 is not negative 2, it's not positive 2, it's negative 18. Be careful. Now how do I get rid of this x over 6? That's the same as x divided by 6. So the inverse operation of divide is multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 6. And we get x equals negative 108. Okay, now there's my final answer. So now I need to check it. ESS, rewrite the original equation, 8 plus x over 6. Now, those of you that are wondering, well, why did I do minus 8 on my first step? You can think of 8 plus x over 6 as the same as x over 6 plus 8. And that's where the subtraction comes from, doing the opposite of adding. So now I'm going to substitute in my value, which is negative 108 over 6. Now if you type in negative 108 divided by 6, you get, that's right, negative 18. Now, adding a negative is the same as subtracting. So do 8 minus 18 on your calculator, not 8 minus negative 18. 8 minus 18. Or you can do 8 plus negative 18, either way, but you'll get negative 10 equals negative 10. And it checks, and we're happy. Okay, the last one. I'm going to give you the answer. You should get, when you are done, x equals negative 9. Now, I didn't really need to do that because you can do the check on your own, but I just wanted you to have the answer, so when you try it on your own, if you get something different, before you get to the check, you can see if you can spot your mistake. All right? Hopefully you understand everything. If I went too fast, go back, rewatch the video, make sure you have this all done, and good luck. We'll see you in math.